Hello, welcome to this webinar regarding Google G Suite backups, hosted by Refractive in conjunction with G Suite Tips. My name is Sean Power, and I'm one of the customer consultants here at Refractive. This is our agenda for today's session. We'll discuss the reasons why organizations using SaaS products, such as G Suite, choose third-party products to back up their data. And we'll also look at how this compares to the standard Google data security processes, so you can compare the two. We'll explore how these backup solutions work in practice, as well as showing you them working in action, so you can get an idea of the processes involved. Just a point of note, you can ask any questions that you want in the chat box, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the YouTube page. We'll answer questions at the end of the session. And any we can't get to, we'll answer after the session in person, but hopefully we'll have time for some questions at the end. We've scheduled 30 minutes for the session today, and we do have plenty to get through, so I'll make a start. There is absolutely no doubt that Google looks after your data. There have not been any recorded incidents where actions by Google have resulted in G Suite users losing their data. They have a very robust and secure methodology in place to secure your data and make sure that it's preserved and can be accessed when you want it. And this process looks something like this. So take this document here, and the same applies to emails and other Google assets. It says just a data. The first action Google undertakes is to encrypt the document, both at rest and in transit. And this means that the data it contains is not in plain sight and needs an electronic key, a security key, to be able to see it. And currently only you can access that data. Once the document or the asset is encrypted, it's shredded into many small components. And this means that the document never really exists in its entirety in one location. And where the data is held, Google, as you probably know, have got many data centers in their network which hold your G Suite data. And these are the same data centers as those which manage the Google search application, as well as things like YouTube, civilian Gmail accounts, Chrome and Android applications. And in fact, Google has 7 products with over 1 billion active users, and they're all managed in this data center network. So your shredded asset, with your document, which is in small pieces now, is sent to a number of data centers. And it's also replicated across these data centers. So it exists in many locations, but it's never complete in any single one. So if someone happened to break into a Google data center and walked away with a rack of servers, the information would be useless. And similarly, if a data center was hit by an asteroid or completely taken out, then none of your data would be lost. It's well protected by the processes in place. So when you want to view your asset again, Google kind of pulls it from the various locations where it's held and gives you a complete view of your document so you can see it and interact with it. So if this architecture is so robust and Google, as we said, never loses data, why are we discussing the need for a backup solution? Well, really, anything deleted from a user account will remain in the recycle bin for 30 days. And after that, it's completely gone and cannot be recovered. Therefore, if you notice that the document or email is missing within the 30 days, then you can reclaim it. But you try to access it after that 30 days, then you realize it's not there. And there are a number of reasons why data may be lost from your G Suite accounts. And these really fall into 2 main categories. It's accidental deletion and malicious intent. So accidental deletion can occur for many reasons, including users deleting a file, which they don't think they need, but later find that they do. Or it could be increasingly through the introduction of a third-party application, which has access to data and deletes data in your assets unnecessarily. And that's increasing more and more as we're connecting more systems into our G Suite environment. Malicious intent can be from both internal staff and also external hackers, particularly through malware and ransom attacks. What a backup solution allows you to do is really protect your data against both these internal and external attacks, and against the malicious intent and also accidental data deletion. So whichever type of attack you suffer from, a backup solution will be able to restore the data you want from your archive. It'll do it efficiently, and it will do it quickly, and it will assure minimum loss of time for both the user whose data is lost and also for the admin team, because the process is so simple and efficient. So let's take a look at how they work. So a typical backup service, as we saw earlier, all your G Suite data is held on the Google Cloud platform, just like all other Google products. This is a cloud-based infrastructure owned, managed, and operated by the Google data center team. A third-party backup solution has access to your data and uses this authority to pull data from the Google infrastructure, typically to another external platform. And this is mostly open cloud platforms like Amazon, Azure, and even in other areas of Google Cloud Platform, because there's heavy segmentation between data and users. Some backup servers even use a private cloud infrastructure to share your data, particularly the larger providers, as they have the demand to warrant the level of investment needed. But whichever way, whichever option they choose, whether it's an open cloud or a private cloud, it's essentially pulling data from Google Cloud Platform, where your G Suite data is held, and throwing it into another system. This data isn't copied. It isn't moved across. It's essentially exists in two places now, and so it doesn't affect the original. And most backup services keep a record of all backups which have been undertaken. This is to allow you to restore your data to a point in time in past. And this works really well in ransom attacks, because you can restore data from a time before the attack has infected your assets. And just in terms of location, there is another option which is becoming available, which is where we can pull data from these cloud services onto your on-premise server infrastructure. So you're holding that data locally, which may be useful for your own data protection policies, and also just to make sure that it could be another place where you hold the data for prosperity. So for those of you using Google G Suite, you may have heard of Google Vault. And if you've got Google Vault, you may think that you are protected and are already backing up your G Suite data, but you are not. So for those of you who don't know, Vault is an archiving and e-discovery tool, which is provided with the G Suite Business and Enterprise versions, and also education, and as an add-on product for basic licenses. This Vault product automatically traps all inbound and outbound emails and documents which have been created or shared with your users, and it holds them in an archive effectively. And this archive is retained for a period of time, which is dictated by your policies. So it has a retention rate in there, and cannot be deleted until this point in time is reached, in which case it's automatically purged from your system. It's also very, very good for the e-discovery processes which it has. So you can create matters around a particular subject or around a particular case. So it may be emails to or from a particular user within a specified period of time, with some very detailed search strings to be used. And then you can quarantine that information into an area of Vault where it's secure and safe. So while it is possible to restore individual items into a user account, it's not suitable for restoring a whole account and does not have a point-in-time capabilities. So I'll repeat for emphasis perhaps, because this does come up quite often, Vault isn't a backup service. It does a great job of quarantining data and creating legal matters in HR or contractual cases, but it does not provide a suitable service for backup and restores. So what are the benefits of adding a backup service to your domain? It's got many benefits, particularly for administrators, but also for users. And these benefits, these sit mostly in the category of securing your G Suite data. But it does this without adding complexity to the admin function. You'll be able to easily add additional users without changing processes or endangering backup windows or increasing administration time. And monitoring the health of your backups is an important factor too. Relying on backups which are not functioning correctly can lead to some serious consequences. And the cloud-based backup services do a really good job of telling you what the health of your backup is. Most professional backup services will provide this level of detail and give you confidence in the data that you are backing up. So you know that if you need to restore, you will be able to. And in addition, audit trails held within the application will ensure that the backup and restore function is not being used for nefarious means. You will know who performs manual backups and restores, and you'll be able to check for unwarranted use of the application. You're making sure that users can see the information, and they can access and administrators can control the backup process, but an audit trail, as we'll see in the demonstration, is retained for prosperity. So you know that everybody can see the information that you need to. Okay, so I'm going to show you how the backup service could work for you. And there are a number of applications and services available on the market. I'm going to use one at the moment, which is called Spanning, because it's quite a nice, easy administration portal. But the process is really similar for other services of this nature, and it's pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to shell out of the presentation. And I'm coming up here to this Spanning backup login portal. You notice we're dealing with Google G Suite data at the moment, but we've also got, with Spanning and with some of the other services, we can back up Salesforce data and even 365 if you were stuck in that world. So I'll sign in with my Google account. Now, obviously, I've got an administration account on this test domain. So it's fairly easy for me to access this information, and I've been pre-authorized, which is pretty good. So I'll give you a run through the application, just show some of the things that we can use. As I said, this is a test domain of ours, so we've got quite a number of demonstration accounts which are set up, which are not protected, but this gives me a really easy account to say I've got 26 users whose data has not been backed up. Now we can automate the process of adding users to the Spanning backup service and also the other services of this nature. So I can make sure that all my users and all their accounts are backed up automatically. As I mentioned before, we get a kind of a health check on our backups. So here we are going back over 30 days, and a green button just means everything's okay, things are good. There are some missing here. And this is because this is a demonstration account, and so if nothing changes, if there's no additional data, if nothing changes to the document, no more emails or anything, then we don't perform a backup because there's no reason to. But sometimes things don't always go according to plan, so we've got some alerts on here. You see that we've got on this account here, we've got we've got a problem here. This is one problem, just means one file cannot be backed up. So I may just ignore this, or I may want to investigate this. Some of these can be more serious. So there are some here. So this one here has got 46 problems. So that may be something that I'd want to check into, and I can identify what the reason is. And that can be for a whole host of reasons. But it's worth checking through. If I come down to the settings tab, this is an administrator saying how this a backup service is working and what it can do and how it interacts and how users interact with it. So first of all, we can provide on most of these services, we can provide the restore function down to a user level. So a user can decide, I've deleted something, shouldn't have deleted it, I want to restore it, and they can do that themselves without involving the administration team. Or you can just remove all these privileges, and then users have to rely on IT to pull that back in. This is where we're talking about what we're backing up within Drive. So are we backing up Drive by default, or are we choosing what we're backing up for those users? And also, are we backing up team drives? So for those of you on business or enterprise versions or education, then you can use the team drives function. And again, there's other functions here. I can get previews for my mail. I can set a mail retention policy. So I can say it's important for me to keep all emails for a period of 5 years, but after that, let's just delete everything and purge the system. And that's either a really good thing for you or something that is quite scary for you. I'm obviously getting notifications to see what's happening. Have I backed up everybody? Are there any issues that I need to investigate? And I can do that either daily, weekly, or monthly, whichever. And you can choose multiple email addresses that you send it to. And there's other bits and pieces about billing, etc. As I said, this is one particular service, and there are a number out there, but most services have got a very similar type of approach to this, which makes it very easy for users to be able to kind of manage their data. And for administrators, it doesn't add time to their daily working practices because everything is automatic. I mentioned before the audit log, which is quite important. So I can look at these and I can understand what's been going on. So a user has restored this data, a user has done an export, and I can stop that happening in most of these services. So that may be something that I'd want to have a look at. So anybody can come down here and they can look at this information. They can see where we are. Okay, so that's kind of the admin side. And let's say that actually I've got a problem here. So I'm coming over to one of my user accounts. I'll use my account. So it kind of makes sense. And I can see when the last backup was done, when the next backup is due to be done. Have I done any exports, etc.? And I've got some more account information. But let's just say that actually I'm quite interested in seeing what's in here. I've got a problem. So I'm coming over here to my Gmail account, and I've got these 3 test messages here. I'll use this just for test purposes. So back into my backup, and let's go to over here to this restore function, and I'll just check my backup. And you see that these items here are sitting within my backup. So I know that I've got these items safe because I've recently backed up and backed up this morning. So if I come over here to Gmail, as I said, and I'll delete these accounts, they've now been deleted from my inbox, but they still sit within my recycle bin. So I'll come down here to my bin, select them, and I delete forever. So those messages have gone. They do not exist. I cannot access them now. When I was talking about the 30-day time limit you have, they just sit within the recycle bin for 30 days. But I've manually removed them, and they've gone. They no longer exist. But actually, they do exist in my backup. So I've still got them here. So I can just select those, and I can click this really easy, this restore function here. I add a label. Let's just do that just for ease. Now this is, as I said, this is a product called Span, and this has got a really neat feature because I can choose to restore to a different account, and that's really handy. Because it allows me to move data around if necessary. Some of the other services have that, some don't have that. But anyway, I've just got these 3. I'm going to back up into the same account because I've got that open, and I'll click done. And I get progress reports. I can see that it's been queued, it's been submitted. I can see what this process is going over here. And now I'll take a little bit of time. Clearly, I'm only restoring 3 messages. It's not a huge amount of work for the backup service to be doing. But I can update whole accounts, or I can update certain assets, a certain type of assets. So I think that's been completed. If I come over here, you see that those messages are coming through. And I can see those messages again. And it's got the right label on there. And heck, I've got a notification as well, which is nice. So I know exactly what's going on. And if I very quickly come up to history, I've done a few test restores, but this one is a restore here at, let's just spread that across. I believe that's 1040. So I think that's the one that we've just done. So I've deleted messages which were in my inbox. I've then deleted them out of the recycle bin, which have it's gone completely. They have been destroyed, and I've actually restored them, and they now sit back in my inbox. So I've done the restore function, and it's very, very easy. I did this for emails, but it's a very similar process for Google Drive documents. So I can see what Google Drive documents I might want to do, and I can choose whether it's my drive or anything that's been shared with me, or team drives, as we talked about. And for calendars and sites, I've got this ability to be able to go back in time, as I have with the others, with Drive and documents as well, to say, well, these were my calendars at this point in time. Let's just pull this one through. And I can go through that restore function again, which is very good. I can get quite granular in terms of how the system is set up and what it does. So I can decide to back up all mail, or I can say, well, don't bother about these particular labels. So I might not back up sent for some reason if I want to. Again, documents, I can back up everything, or I don't back up documents which are shared with me, because presumably the person who's shared it has got a backup in place, so they're backing up the document as well. And the similar for calendars and contacts and sites. So I can choose how this system works for me and what data it backs up. But the whole process is, it's very, very easy. It's automatic. So every day, the application runs into my G Suite data. It pulls data out of my G Suite account. It places it in another safe, secure environment. And I can, if I choose to, restore either individual accounts or complete accounts if I want to. I can even restore whole domains if I need to. So if things do go particularly wrong, then I've got the comfort to know that all that information is safe and secure. Okay, there's quite a lot more to show, but it is pretty simple. But I think we're done for now. So I'll just go back to the presentation. So hopefully that's given you a good idea of why you should be considering a backup service for your G Suite domain. We have a question which I'll come to now from Richard. When backing up team drives, does this require backing up of all users who can access that drive, or is only one user required? Yeah, that's an interesting point, Richard. It does depend on the policies of the service that you provide, and typically they have different services for team drives. So what they don't want is to have a team drive with terabytes of data, which is owned by one user, and you're only paying for one license. So it depends on how many users you have. And typically you can back up an unlimited amount of data, but that can be restricted by certain providers if there are only a small number, a handful of users, for instance. So Richard, if you want to, we'll follow up with some information. If you want to drop us a line, just talk to us about the situation that you have, how many users, what type of data, etc., and then we can talk through that if you wish. Okay, so if there are any further questions, as I said, we'll follow up with a recording of this session, so you can share it with your colleagues, or replay it if you get particularly sick and tired, or and you can't sleep. So you can replay that, and also our contact details will be on there. So if there are any questions which occur to you, then please come back, and well, I'll be happy to answer. So thank you for attending, and thank you for your time. And as I say, any questions, we're happy to help. Look forward to working with you again in the future. Thank you.